lifting every being from fourth dynamic suppression to the salvation of Scientology itself. That's the volunteer Minister Crusade and the last essential step of the equation. It is the LRH program that undercuts all else and the first point of entry to uplift the culture as a whole. Well, as a word on the urgency, he wrote, "We are today at a watershed of history, and our actions today will decide whether the world goes up from here or continues to slide into a new dark age." And that's why we are continually expanding the crusade and constantly swelling the ranks of VMs. And to brief you on all we've accomplished through the past 12 months and on how we'll radically increase both the numbers and reach of our VMs, please welcome Mr. Guillaume Lesevre.
Thank you very much. The purpose of our traveling volunteer minister cavalcades is to bring help directly to people everywhere. To just that end, last year we brought our crusade to a whole new order of magnitude. We placed VM cavalcades in every Class 5 organization around the world. And with that, we brought our first line of help to thousands of locations across the planet. So here is a rapid world tour of what they accomplished in the name of building a better world. We begin right here in the UK, where the VMs created wins and miracles wherever they went. From the man in Plymouth on drugs for 7 years, who went from the tent to Narconon and is now drug-free, to another in the north who was unable to talk to a stranger, read the communication booklet, is now winning on course and said, "If I can do it, everyone can and should." All in all, the UK VMs toured 30 cities through 105 venues. In Europe, the old cavalcades were likewise everywhere. Starting in Scandinavia, more than 3,000 toured the cavalcade in Copenhagen. Among them, the Danish worker who had been suffering from a crippling condition for 20 years and after 10 minutes walked out pain-free. In Germany, the Stuttgart Org took its cavalcade to virtually every city in the state and now has 14 new groups in its field. Then south to Athens, where the Continental Cavalcade toured more than 6,000. 2 foreign VMs went to City Hall to present the crusade. They gave the deputy mayor the How to Resolve Conflicts booklet. He immediately cognited and awarded them medals as honorary citizens of Athens. In Milano, the prima ballerina from La Scala opened the cavalcade. Lining the street, people came by the thousands touring the displays. In Cape Town, South Africa, to accomplish the purpose of the crusade, getting more volunteer ministers than police, they went right to work training the police themselves as VMs, all with the full support of the Deputy Police Commissioner. In Soweto, the VMs moved into the center of South Africa's largest township, touring 8,000 in less than 6 days, until the City Police Commissioner declared it was the best thing that ever happened in his jurisdiction. Across the Pacific in New Zealand, the cavalcade visited fairs and sporting rallies. Their help is now in such demand, organizers are booking the cavalcade as an integral part of their events. In Australia, the Sydney VMs moved through city parks with imiter demos, VM displays and the Scientology handbook booklets. While in Canberra, our crusade was featured in the Sunday paper under the headline, "The Meaning in Life." We brought our crusade for the first time to Japan, and when major floods devastated the Niigata region, affecting thousands of people, the Tokyo Org VMs went into action. Within days, the VMs distributed thousands of copies of The Way to Happiness, delivered hundreds of assists, trained dozens more on applying the tech for miracle after miracle, as in the 90-year-old woman who, after just a few assists, was free from all pains. Halfway across the world, in Vancouver, Canada, it was the fire department that issued a commendation to the VMs for their outstanding actions in putting out a major blaze in the city. In Boston, representatives from the city and the police commissioner welcomed the old cavalcade, thanking the VMs for reducing the crime rate in the city's worst district with massive distribution of The Way to Happiness. In Washington, D.C., officials and religious leaders gathered to welcome the cavalcade, while the mayor declared something can be done about it weak. While in New York, the VMs pitched their tents from the southernmost tip of Manhattan in Battery Park all the way to Harlem, near the site of our upcoming New Org. Isaac Hayes opened the cavalcade, welcoming the whole community to Scientology. It was then non-stop action from morning to night, where 6,000 were introduced to LRH Tech with assists, lectures, demonstrations, book one reading, and more. In the South, responding to the worst hurricane season in decades, hundreds of VMs went to work from Florida to South Carolina, helping more than 2,000 people every day. And when Jeb Bush, the governor of Florida, decided to work with emergency relief teams, he asked for the best-run and most productive center. And yes, he was next at Volunteer Minister headquarters, lending a hand and being introduced to the VM Crusade with his own copy of the leadership booklet from the Scientology Handbook. And that led to the Tampa City Council ceremony in the Tampa Hall Community Center, presenting a commendation for 300 VMs and the more than 12,000 hours they dedicated to assisting the community. In the American Midwest, the St. Louis Org VMs were center stage at Black Expo, Missouri. Here too, the mayor proclaimed something can be done about it day, and 4,500 came in to find out all about it. The Portland Org VMs launched their cavalcade with a street parade right on the main square with city officials and a senator cutting the ribbon. Another something can be done about it day, and 5,000 touring. Top officials were also on hand in Albuquerque, as both the mayor and the state governor celebrated our cavalcade, declaring October 2004 as the Something Can Be Done About It month across New Mexico. Then there was Los Angeles, where between the Continental and the Org cavalcades, we toured both small venues and major crossroads, from the Pacific Coast Highway, with 2,200 people in a single weekend, to more than 7,000 in less than 3 days at a summer festival. The VMs introduced tens of thousands to Scientology across Southern California. But there is one more that says it all. Mexico City, where all Mexican cavalcades, Org and Continental, joined together to launch the crusade in their city in a big way. Located directly in front of Zocalo, the presidential palace, they reached people from all strata of society. Government officials, nuns, police, public workers, and even the media joined in, broadcasting live from the tents, telling their audience, "Come down here now." And come they did. In terms of sheer numbers, it was a new world record, 33,000 introduced to the crusade in just 3 days. And when we total it all, our worldwide volunteer minister impact looks like this. In 2004, our Continental and Org cavalcades toured 62 states and countries, bringing help in 1,011 cities and towns. And it's not only where they went, but what they did. Bringing the tone scale to 20,971 people, the fundamentals of study tech to more than 15,000, and the basics on how to shadow suppression to another 18,000, or 100,000 assists delivered to 100,000 people, while another 180,000 experienced the e-meter for the first time. So yes, this year, our VM Crusade directly introduced to the tech more than 550,000 people. Before we look at what the next step is, let's not forget that the Volunteer Minister Crusade is the LRH undercut program for everywhere. The starting point on how we get every activity going into any area. because the Scientology handbook contains all the basics that apply to all aspects of life. So, considering we introduce more than half